Hands Off Boston March, and it is the slowest march I have
Told his
ever
dentist,
been
hands
in.
off my teeth.
Hands off my broom.
Oh, jeez. Hands off the Cheetos.
Are the litigators.
Hands off women for him.
This
morning, the sex puppet.
Out of fascism looks like.
Yes, thank you, Chinese spy banger-in-chief Eric Swalwell. There were organized protests against, take a guess, correct, Donald Trump, Elon Musk. They happened across the country and a few other major cities. This was on Saturday.
Across the U.S. and the world, more than 1,400 protests on Saturday, according to organizers, telling U.S. President Donald Trump and his advisor Elon Musk, hands off.
Hands off Canada! Hands off Greenland!
It's like an afterthought.
Stupid, yeah.
It's the one resident.
Like, you think about it, when the Tea Party happened after Barack Obama, they were, I was there, they were proposing very specific policies.
Yes.
And they elected, they actually got people into political office, and it was a movement. In this case, what do you think? You're just going to say hands off Canada, hands off Donald Trump? Well, since you said so.
He doesn't even have his hands on them, though, right now. He's like, hey, you guys should probably vote Greenland to come in and be a part of America. We'll see what happens. Canada, you guys will be better as a state, right? Like, that's it.
It's like a preschool teacher's convention.
Well, and the protest was literally called Hands Off.
I know.
Hands off. This of course goes back to, hands off my posse. That was the thing with the vagina hats. It's like, this is the 2016 retread. It's San Francisco 60s retreads using punchline slogan retreads from 2016.
They still have the signs, Stephen. Like, you got to put them to use.
Yeah, exactly.
Hands off the bloated government.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, there we go.
It's the civil rights issue of our time, and dudes playing pool against women. So the official Hands Off website, they have a partners list. And of course, you see the usual suspects, the ACLU, the labor unions, the Arab American Institute, the Bend the Arc Jewish Action, LGBTQAIP groups, Planned Parenthood, and some accidental support, this time from one George McFly.
Hey, you, get your damn hands off her.
He's nervous.
He meant to be at the pool tournament.
Guys, are you getting the picture? Remember when Nancy Pelosi said the Tea Party was Astro-Turfed? When the left accuses you of something, they're telling on themselves. When they say you're turning trans athletes, male athletes competing against women, when you're turning that into a cultural issue, they're telling on themselves. When they say, oh, actually, this is Astro-Turf from the MAGA crowd, they're telling on themselves. This is very clearly Astro-Turfed, NGO-supported protest. This is not grassroots. That's why you haven't really heard of it. That's why no one you know has actually attended it. And I just don't think it works anymore. I remember I was on Joe Rogan's show, 2016, 2017, where he was saying, well, the big pussy march, that was a big thing. And I said, it wasn't grassroots. That was from the top down. And he was surprised. We know it now. Just remember this. This is always what the left does.
Well, they're not even actually promoting anything, protesting anything real right now.
I know.
Hands off Social Security. He said he was going after fraud in Social Security. He didn't say anything about any benefits, and so did Donald Trump. He's like, I'm not going to touch that. I already told you about Greenland and Canada, so what are we out here yelling about? I don't think anybody knows.
Stop changing the color of the sky.
Oh, yeah, what? Hands off my chemtrails? I don't know.
I have no idea. Well, anyway, maybe we'll get some more context with some highlights here from the Hands Off trademark 2025 protests.
I am an immigrant. I am
That's a huge bitch.
unafraid, queer, and unashamed.
And deported.
Should be.
Where'd you immigrate from? The Charlie Chocolate
I'm at
Factory?
the Hands Off Boston March, and it is the slowest march I have
Told his
ever
dentist,
been
hands
in.
off my teeth.
Hands off my broom.
Oh, jeez. Hands off the Cheetos.
Are the litigators.
Hands off women for him.
We're to litigate? Okay.
This is
the sex puppet.
out of fascism looks like.
Yes, thank you, Chinese spy banger-in-chief Eric Swalwell. So, kicking the out of fascism is trannies and puppets? I mean,
Sex pulpit.
sex puppets?
They're people.
The left has no message, and they have no messengers. For proof, see the protest that involved drum circles, puppets, and their messenger, Eric Swalwell. I don't know if they ever win again. And here's the thing, too. We used to think of it as a youth movement, right? That has shifted dramatically. I'm a millennial where, of course, they were very, very left-wing. Gen Z is the most conservative generation at this point in their life, meaning 20-year-olds, young people, than any we have seen really in the last at least 3/4 of a century. So if you were looking for some young people, some enthusiasm at these protests, you're not the only one.
I'm at the protest right now in New York City, anti-Trump, anti-fascist protest, and I have one question. Where the is Gen Z? These people are cheering, they're talking like it's just the 60s, it's just like the 60s, and they're having conversations and walking slowly. There's no fight here. There's no youth here. It's all 30-somethings and their children. Barely any teenagers ever. Like, these, oh my God. I can't even. Like,
Try to even.
Where are you going if you're not going to the protest right now?
Anywhere. They're going anywhere that's not the protest. And by the way,
somewhere with their friends, you lonely bitch.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, you not without my daughter retread. This is she says it's like from the 60s and they're 30-something with their kids. I will say this, being someone in my 30s, this is the first generation you will have young people, particularly young liberals, who will go, okay, boomer, to someone who's like 32. Or to someone who is like 29. This is the first time where you have young people who think you are old and out of touch in your 30s. That wasn't actually.
I have a theory. I think it's because if you're in your 30s, you were born in the 90s or 80s, which makes it a different century.
Okay, the turn of the century.
So we're 20th century kids.
So do you think that
we're old?
Was that what it was like kids who were born in 1901?
Yeah, they were antiquated.
Listen to your old 19th century rhetoric. You don't know what it's like being raised in today's youth.
Nobody cares about Gettysburg.
That's right.
We care about Pittsburgh.
That's right. We've been emancipated. Get with the program. I have 14 brothers and sisters, and 12 of them died by being kicked from a horse.
Oh, look, a motor car.
Yeah. So to give you an idea, though, Generation Z, we've seen this, right? In 2024, 46 went for Trump, 52% for Harris. Now, that's a huge number when you look at people under 30 compared to any other election, pretty much ever. And it's even more glaring when you look at Gen Z men, 56% for Trump, 42% for Harris. Typically, young people become more conservative. They don't become more liberal. These are kids who are voting for Donald Trump before they even pay taxes, before they have families. Yeah. So it's not all doom and gloom. There is a silver lining. I think they see the absurdity.
Yeah, and we talk about that all the time, that once you get older, you get out into the workforce, you have to have a job, you have to pay taxes, you start raising a family, that you become very conservative very fast typically.
Yes.
See those numbers now, that's very heartwarming, because
I think
for
it's
a while there it was looking pretty bad. Okay?
I think it's less them becoming more conservative and just being disgusted with the left.
I think that's part of it.
With what the Democratic Party's doing, and then it's quickly making them go, maybe I shouldn't be siding with these people. What are they saying on the other side?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the left just can't. Again, they just can't help themselves. Probably, you were raised in, kind of on the West Coast there, up in Washington area. And you think about back then, okay, gay marriage, that was kind of a social issue. People are like, I'm socially liberal. But now, if you're voting Democrat, you have to be voting for sex surgeries, for violent inmates, and for biological men to compete in women's contact sports and not even fill out a form stating they're biological. The disconnect is so wide. I've got to imagine that young men are in high schools today. And please, I know there are a ton of you who watch. If you're in that generation and you are, for example, in a public school, how do people in your class treat the transgender, queer, pansexual furry in your class? How do you guys deal with it? Do you just go, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Is there a rejection of it? Is that why we're seeing this divide between, again, young men and women? I've got to imagine that they're living with it going, this is absurd.
Yeah, you're right. This view has changed. When we were, teenagers or young adults, it was, the saying was, it's not Adam and Steve. I'm like, oh, that's fine. It's not a big deal. But now it's like, oh, Adam's in Eve's cell.
Yes.
That's
getting her pregnant in prison.
Yeah. And Eve used to also be Adam as well, and I don't know how she got pregnant.
I'm very confused.
That doesn't make sense.
Why is the warden a cat? What's happening?
Their prison should just be they have to be completely normal in whatever gender
Yes,
they
exactly.
actually are.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. We're not even going to put you in a prison.
No.
We're just going to put you on a routine where you're going to get up at the same time. You're going to eat 3 square meals a day. You're going to exercise. You're going to do your word jumble, some Sudoku. Ah! Hey, if you're still watching this video, comment below. Sorry, I'm parched. I can't drink from that. But you can click the video and watch it. But what is that? Is it a hat?